Hello and welcome to the Tarot Workshop. I'm Suzanne Corbie and I've worked with the Tarot for over 20 years, first as a tool for self-development and understanding, and much later reading for others and progressing to teaching, which is still all about learning just on another level. In this workshop, my intention is to help you to connect with the cards yourself. I'm not going to be going into the history or detail all the traditional meanings and spreads. There are so many books out there that can help you discover much more about this fascinating subject for yourself. What I really want to do in this workshop is to help you make the personal connection yourself. A tarot card means whatever you need it to mean when you draw it, and we will all make different associations. I've noticed people who may have a distrust of religion seemingly uncomfortable with the Hierophant, people who find the occult frightening become scared of the Devil card, people who have encountered bad experiences with authority don't feel comfortable with Justice or the Emperor, and so on. And you'll all have your own perspective on all of the cards based on your own experience and understanding, and that will also be subject to change as you progress and learn. So allow your personal intuition to guide you. It's important to listen to this. Always rely on it over and above a traditional meaning, so that if you're reading the cards and you draw the Star card, for example, and you feel quite strongly that the answer for the card itself is perhaps warning you about getting carried away with your head in the clouds or dreams, as opposed to the more traditional meaning of hope and peace, then go with what your intuition is telling you. It's telling you that for a reason at this time, so learn to trust it. And the more you trust it, the more your intuition will speak to you. That's exactly what the tarot is about, connecting with your intuition and opening the doorways of understanding which are locked within us. Now, there's no better way to start than to just get stuck in, so let's dig out the major arcana cards in whatever deck you have with you. I'm working with the Rider-Waite deck. It tends to be the general beginner's deck. It encompasses the basic symbolism that most of the other decks contain. A word on decks. Nowadays there are so many of them containing really beautiful artwork, and although these can be wonderful for meditation or for all other purposes, not all of them always contain the depth of symbolic references that the tarot is so richly well known for. So if you have another deck, just pick it up and start it with me and see how you get on. Let's get familiar with the major cards. One of the ways you can do this is to dwell or meditate on one card at a time. So put all the major arcana cards out in front of you, and let's start at the beginning and just pick up the card of the Fool. Now I'm going to pick up mine and pop it in front of me. I want you to have a good look at it and just really immerse yourself in that card. Look at the scenery. Look at what he's wearing. Look at what he's carrying in his hands. What's the colour saying to you? What about where he is? Does that bother you? Do you feel good about it? Unnerved about it? What's around him? Just dwell on everything that card has. And then close your eyes. And I want you to imagine that you are that figure. You are the Fool. You are standing exactly where you saw him in that image. You're holding what he had in his hand. You're doing what he was doing. How do you feel? Do you feel silly? Do you feel aware? Are you carefree? Are you wise? Where are you going? What are you doing? Just dwell on that for a moment. Just really immerse yourself in the experience of taking on the Fool. Then open your eyes and look at the card again. Do you see or understand it any differently? If you thought he looked foolish before, do you think he looks a little bit more brave or daring now? What would he be saying to you if you were asking it for what your lesson was today? What do you think the message would be? Learning to connect with each of the cards in this way is absolutely fundamental to being able to read them in a spread. So take your time with this and really spend time on it. You could do one major arcana card a day and it really wouldn't be an invaluable lesson. The Fool itself can represent a variety of things, from beginning, new changes, independence, taking a leap of faith, to being crazy and a little naive. But take what it tells you, go with what your intuition tells you as to what it represents for the meaning that it has for you today. Let's look at the next card, the Magician. Pick up the card of the Magician, pop it in front of you, and have a good look at it. Again, look at the person, look at the symbolism within the card itself, look at the scenery, look at the colour, draw it all in, and then close your eyes and become the Magician. Feel that sense of authority and power. He's raising his arm up, he's got a wand, clearly he's going to use it, clearly he's competent, clearly he considers he's competent. At what? What is he feeling? How do you feel raising your arm like the Magician with the wand? Think about all the elements on the table in front of him. What's he going to do with them? What are you going to do with them? Do you feel strong? Do you believe in yourself? And then open your eyes and look at it again and see if it makes you feel any different about the card itself. It's all about power and belief in yourself and taking action. Is it telling you at this moment when you draw this card to take action, or is it telling you to believe in yourself? Is it telling you you're fooling yourself? What do you think it means? The Magician represents having all the tools you need at your disposal. Now it's time for you to do something with them. You need to ask yourself, maybe if you pick this card, have you not been using all the tools at your disposal? Are you waiting for the right kind of indication that it's time to act? If you drew a card like the Magician, now would be the time to move. But what do you feel? Let's have a look at the next card, the High Priestess, a card of mystery. Here, dwell on the figure in this card. Look at the pillars on either side of her. Look at what's behind her. Look at what she has in her arms. Look at how she's dressed. What does she make you feel? Are you a little disturbed by her? Are you intimidated by her? Are you intrigued by her? Are you drawn to this card? Or are you a little bit distant from it? And then close your eyes and once again become the High Priestess. Are you someone who is in touch with your intuition, your unconscious beliefs, your spirituality? How discreet and tactful are you? Do you reveal yourself to people, or do you keep things hidden? Imagine, even if you're not a particularly secretive person, that you have secrets and that it might be not the right time to reveal it. What decisions would make you reveal your knowledge and what wouldn't? And then open your eyes and see if, again, the understanding of the card has revealed itself to you. This is very much about obscure knowledge, about hidden mystery within yourself. And maybe this card is telling you to get in touch with that secretive side to yourself, or maybe to just hold things back. If it represents someone else in a spread, it might mean that you're coming into contact with a very spiritual person, or somebody who is not quite so open and has a lot of depth to them. But you decide. Let's pick another card. Let's go to the Empress now. Have a good look again at the card. Look at all the abundance of nature in this card. It doesn't matter what deck you have, you're bound to have some connection with nature and abundance in some way. Sometimes the Empress is shown pregnant. Often she's shown in fields of corn with trees and growing things around her. She's very much the embodiment of nature. So have a good look, dwell on that card and all the colours and the imagery, and then close your eyes and, as we've done before, go into it and visualise yourself being aware and immersed in all that abundance, all that fruitfulness, and see how that feels to you. And then open your eyes and connect with your understanding of the card. Did you feel an urge to be nurturing and loving towards others, or to yourself? Is it you that needs the nurturing? Do you need to get in touch with the cyclical seasons, so maybe having a little bit more patience and allowing things to develop when the time is right? Do you feel that there are new things growing in your life? Maybe that's what it means, but see how it feels to you. And let's move on to the next card, the Emperor. Put the card in front of you. Let's have a look at him sitting on his throne, feeling in charge, responsibility, authority. This is very much masculine structure, patriarchal authority. And this may or may not sit well with you, but dwell on the card, dwell on the colours and the imagery, and then close your eyes and go into it. How much of the imagery is standing out in your mind? Imagine yourself sitting on the throne. How wise a ruler would you be? How would you make your decisions any differently to the way you do now? Would it make you think more carefully, or would it make you decide more quickly? And then open your eyes and see how well you resonate with this card now. This card represents Aries, so there's a lot of fire, a lot of energy, a lot of dynamism in this card, even though he's sitting still on a throne. So there's a lot of often red colours and orange colours in it. But, can this be saying to you that you need to be more in control? It's definitely not like the High Priestess, which was very much more about getting in touch with your unconscious. This is very much about being in control and being aware of your control. But be aware also that it might mean that perhaps you're too much in control. What do you think it means in relevance to the question that you're asking? When it comes up in a reading, it could very well be that you're coming into touch with someone like that. Or if it stands for you yourself, maybe you need to think about your authority, your responsibility. How welcome are your responsibilities and how well are you dealing with them? But get in touch with the cards first. Learn to feel how they feel with you. How is your personal impression of authority? Do you accept responsibility and authority well? Because that will have an impact on your readings too. This is where the tarot can be so useful for self-development. It makes you question how you deal with these things in your own life. So how well do you deal with responsibility and authority? Let's move on to the Hierophant. Have a good look at the Hierophant, have a good look at the card, at what he's wearing, at the way he's sitting, where he's sitting, and the position of the people, if there are any in front of him. Have a good look, really feel, really immerse yourself in that card. Really feel as if you've captured all the imagery, and then close your eyes and imagine you're the Hierophant. Clearly this is a religious structure, definitely a moral code of some kind. How well do you connect with things like this? This is often quite a difficult card for people to engage with, because if you've had a bad experience with religious or hierarchical structure, it can not sit very well with you. On the other hand, if you value religion, it can be something you're very drawn to. So decide how this feels for you, how comfortable you feel for it. And be aware of that yourself, because it's important to be aware of your own understanding. And then when you open your eyes, have another look at the card and see if this card has lent any insight into your understanding of it. Clearly it represents religious structure, but it can also represent somebody that's coming into your life who's a teacher, maybe an older relative perhaps who's dispensing some wisdom. And of course it can be a person that's entrenched in their ways and a little inflexible. Often this card does have that sort of feeling of inflexibility about it, but also they're striving to create an order out of the chaos that is our world. So sometimes that order is necessary. People do need a moral structure sometimes to guide them along. So it has its place with everything else in the tarot. Let's go to the next card, the Lovers. Have a good look at this card. There's often an angel above two people. So have a good look at the imagery in this and just draw it all in and close your eyes and be in that picture. You can choose to be one of the lovers, or you can just choose to be the angel, perhaps. Or just choose to be in the moment, in that image, and see how that feels. And then when you open your eyes, see if you've gained any insight. Clearly with the Lovers, this is not just about two people being together. It's about finding something that you need inside yourself, so it can be falling in love not just with a person, but with maybe a thing like a career or a life path. And it's very much about choices. And often people say love changes everything, and when you do fall in love with your child, your partner, your career, it does change the way you see everything. So it often makes us make choices or faces us with difficult choices, particularly with people who fall in love with partners from a different background. So it involves a change in religious attitude, or it will force changes in their life and challenges they have to confront, because once you connect with something on a very soul level, it throws everything up into question. So this card is very much about the choices that come when we fall in love with life itself. Let's go to the next card, the Chariot. Have a good look at the card, have a look at the person. Is he in control of the two horses or creatures that are driving the chariot? Or are they driving him? Is the chariot stationary, or is it moving? What do you think? Put yourself in the position of the chariot, close your eyes, and visualize how it feels. Are you moving forward, or are you stuck? Are you inflexible? Are you the one that's in charge of the chariot, or are the two creatures pulling you in opposite directions? Really experience how that card feels. Try and connect with it on a very inner level. And then open your eyes and see if that's given you any insight into the card. By all means, in this particular workshop, we're not taking very long to look at the cards, but take time yourself. Stop the CD at this point and really let yourself meditate or dwell on the card as long as you like, and then flick the switch on again and listen again afterwards. But when you're looking at the card afterwards, how did you feel? Did you feel that you actually had control over different elements in your life? I mean, often this card can represent somebody who's got various different streams, maybe juggling children and a career, or two different jobs, or maybe people who have different opinions and you're the one that's holding it all together. There's a lot of strength in this card, and although sometimes it can mean that there has been a struggle over opposing forces, there is a lot of success over it with sheer will and determination and motivation. But what do you think? Let's pick another card. Let's go to Strength. Have a good look at this card. It's an unusual card because you actually have a woman that actually looks like she's being very gentle with a creature of ferociousness, the lion. You would never think of opening the lion's mouth with gentle hands, but here you are. You have this mixture of opposites in this card, so really dwell on this card. Maybe you know what the symbol above her head means, maybe you don't, but it is the same symbol as the Magician had. And maybe another time you can dwell on that. But at this moment, just look at the card, really draw it all in, all the colours, all the imagery, and then close your eyes and become that card. Become the maiden in the card, holding open the lion's mouth. Are you having to be forceful, or are you doing it with a gentleness? How do you feel? Are you scared of the animal? Are you in control? How does the animal relate to you? And then open your eyes and let's have a look at the card, see if you've gained any insight into it. This card is very much about strength, but not in a very forceful way, the kind of strength that comes from patience, from hanging on in there, from knowing that it will be okay, from fortitude, really sort of a loving, caring kind of strength. The maiden is clearly unafraid, and she's gently encouraging the lion to open his mouth. So it's very much about, you can not only control the situation, but you can control yourself as well. You can have all that strength, but if you have the patience to persevere, you can succeed. Let's pick the next card. This card is the Hermit. Have a good look at the card, have a good look at the person, look at what he's holding in his hand, look at where he is. Is it day or night? Does the place that he is look welcoming? Does he look happy, sad? Have a good look, really dwell on it. And then close your eyes and go into the card and become the Hermit. How do you feel? Do you feel lonely, abandoned, isolated? Or do you feel you've got everything that you need at this moment? You have your hood up, you have your cloak about you, but you have a lantern. Is that lantern guiding you, or does it represent something within yourself? Does the cloak hide yourself away from people or the elements outside circumstances? Do you feel comforted by withdrawing within? And then open your eyes and have a look at the Hermit and see if you've gained any insight into the wisdom of this card. The Hermit clearly represents a time of going inwards, a time for introspection, a time to stop what you're doing. This is not a time for action, not about going out there and controlling the opposing forces like the Chariot, or being dynamic like the Emperor or the Magician. This is very much about withdrawing. You need to take time out for yourself. It's not about socializing. This is about peace and solitude, but it's very much inner peace. It's a time to really be aware that the light of the lantern is the light that is within you, and that you have got within yourself all the wisdom that you need. In a reading, it might represent someone that's coming into your life that has those qualities, or it might represent a need to develop those qualities. It might even, in a position of challenge, represent a person turning away from looking within and looking outward for the answers, when in fact they need to look inwards. Without looking inwards, going without for the answer will never get a person anywhere. You need to look within before you go without. Let's pick our next card. This is the Wheel of Fortune. This is often a very complex card because it's very rich in symbolism, and you would do well to look up all the symbolism and have a read about what they all mean, because all the reading does enhance our understanding of the symbolism as time goes on. But right now we're just going to connect to it with our intuition. So have a good look at the card, really dwell on it, and then close your eyes and immerse yourself in the world of the Wheel of Fortune. Whether you remember what the figures around the wheel were or not, just be aware of things moving around the wheel. Place yourself at the center. Does it feel any different to if you placed yourself at the edge of the wheel? Just spend time immersing yourself in this card. And then when you're ready, open your eyes and have a look at it and see how you feel about it. It definitely, a wheel represents movement, so there's definitely a change in circumstances. And often the wheel can represent where you were once in one position. Things are now changing and you will now be in a different, but it does represent new opportunities, a change in fortune, a change in luck. So wherever this card comes up, it's definitely a motivation for change. The astrological significances of all the cards are also something that are well worth looking into. For example, the astrological significance of the Wheel of Fortune is Jupiter, and Jupiter is very much about abundance and good fortune. So the indications are that the changes that are going to be taking place are going to be good opportunities and new opportunities for advancement. A stroke of luck, you could say.